watching Thrifty Kaniffy.
Hello everyone and welcome to Thrifty Kaniffy. Well, today we are going to be taking a look at the RoseCraft Blades French Broad Jack in the Rosewood handles. But before we get into the review, I want to give a shout out to Elon Reese. We're going to be doing a hat swap, and he sent me this Wales national team hat as well as a hat from the smaller soccer club Wrexham that Ryan Reynolds has bought. And so that's a really interesting story. If you don't know about that, it's pretty cool. But I also got a surprise from him, this Swiss Mini Champ, and I'm going to be reviewing this at some point in the future. So thank you, Elon, for the nice gifts. I'm going to be sending you a package as well. I had something delayed in shipping, so that may take me a little time more to get hold of it before I send that off. All right, so the French Broad Jack, everybody, this is a wonderful sort of seahorse pattern, but with just a single blade, more like a seahorse whittler. I'll show a picture of that in the case form. And you can see how, with the absence of the two blades that you normally get on a seahorse whittler, you can actually make this particular knife with a longer blade. And this is actually a 3-inch blade. And we'll take a look at that more closely in a moment. But we get these stainless steel bolsters on either end, the stainless steel rosebud shield. It's pen design on that beautiful rosewood pattern. Rosewood grain on there. Really beautiful show side to this knife. But the coloring is very, very good on both sides in terms of its balance. But you also get some really nice grain pattern on the back. But I just think the interesting sort of swirl ear pattern is really, really nice on this particular knife. So a really good example, I think, of this French Broad Jack. You get a closed length on this knife of just shy of 3 7/8. It's a little more than 3 3/4, but just shy of 3 7/8. So a little longer actually than I expected it to be when I first saw pictures of this knife. Now they released this initially in the red apple bone handles about 11 months ago, but now I have re-handled this knife and released it again with this rosewood. Got to say, they're both pretty terrific looking. I don't know that I necessarily have a preference over one over the other, but I do really like this rosewood. So if you have one of these, I think you'd be pretty darn happy with either of the handle materials that you end up with. But again, really nice fit and finish on this. Back springs and the liners are all well put together there, really not seeing any gapping. Of course, you have the integral bolsters here. They're stainless, and you don't have the individual liners. They're just all one piece. But it makes for a very rigid knife, and probably one that's a little more durable than you would have with, the individual liners. But very nicely constructed. Pins are nice and smooth. That shield is well inlaid. Not seeing any proud areas here on the pins, and everything seems very well hafted around the edges here. Again, very tight back spring, no gaps. Looks very, very nice. Now this knife is about $55 before tax and shipping. So, I think it's a good value for money for what you're getting in terms of fit and finish. You can see the blade centering there, very, very good. Very good blade stock, I think about 2.7 millimeter. Very nice D2 steel. There's some swedging there you can see. So let's take a closer look at the blade. Get half stop. And the pull is about a 7.5. Get the stop pin in there, and that's going to hit the kick. Keep this from having any kind of blade issues when you close the knife. You can see the blade edge there, very, very evenly done on both sides. There's your nail nick. Little half moon design, and again, a better look at the swedging. Wharnicliffe blade in D2 steel, which is pretty much what RoseCraft uses for all their traditional style knives. They have this tang stamp here. Very well done, very crisp. I like that it's very easy to read. On the opposite, you have the blade etch, or the little tang etch there with Andy Armstrong's maker's mark, D2 steel indication. Again, the model number RCT007-RW. RW standing for Rosewood. But really good pull, very, very good. Lock up into the open position. Just affirmative stopping, in the half stop and into the full position. Now I can get a full 4-finger grip on this with a medium-sized hand. There's a pretty comfortable spot there to rest your forefinger, and that's kind of where I like to hold that, right between where the bolster and the choil begin. And just makes for a good resting spot, and very comfortable. Now, you don't quite get the purchase you maybe do on a little thicker knife. And, when I kind of do this twist test to see if I can kind of twist it in my hand, you can kind of get that to happen. Just this being a little more narrow in the back here. But with a firm grip at the front of the knife, that makes it pretty tough to have that happen. A little bit of a fingerprint. This is a sort of a satin finish, flat ground on the blade there. You can see the vertical grind lines just peeking through. So very well finished. The swedging, not too overly ambitious. So Andy's done a good job of keeping that to a practical length, I think. It doesn't go too crazy up the blade. So fairly attractive. And, I haven't, one of the reasons I think I didn't buy the initial one, well, it had really nothing to do with the knife so much as that it seemed like I had bought a lot of Wharnicliffe blades at the time that this came out, the original one, about 11 months ago. But now it's been quite a while. I don't think I've actually bought a Wharnicliffe blade in at least 6 months. So very happy to have picked this up. Now we've got the blade length here, very, very much UK legal. You can see that's just shy of 3 inches. And then you got a cutting edge there of 2.5. Nice little sharpening choil there, making that very easy to sharpen. Shouldn't be any problem whatsoever. And another thing I really like about this knife is sort of the blade to handle ratio. You get such a long blade for the handle. Now, a lot of times, like I say, but if you have the seahorse whittler pattern, you're going to end up with like a blade that's probably another inch shorter than this to accommodate the other blades at the other end of the knife. So kind of a neat way to incorporate a longer blade into this seahorse pattern by just eliminating the other blades and having a single blade design. But I think this would be a really good whittling knife. You can get really a lot of control at the front of the knife, if that makes sense to you. Sort of you feel like you have a lot of control over this area of the knife, this last inch of the blade. And yeah, so this would be a really good knife for some detailed style work, I think. So yeah, but beautiful overall design. I think the lines of the knife look really nice. Very easy to open too, with the sort of swoop that you get there. So you can just open that straight up without having any issues using the nail nick. If you're a little more apprehensive with knives that have a strong pull, this one you may not have to worry about so much, because you can just simply grip it and pull it open. Again, about a 7.5 pull. I'd say that's just about ideal, right in that sort of perfect Goldilocks zone of pull strengths that everybody can seem to operate, and without it being too flimsy, with a light pull, and gives you plenty of confidence to use it. So that I'm very happy with. Overall, just a really nice design. You can see the centering on the blade is very, very good. Don't have any issues with that. Right down the center. And, just sort of a reimagined design from Andy for the seahorse. Of course, with the Wharnicliffe blade, you just have more of a swoop here, whereas with a sheep's foot, it approximately rolls off at around 90 degrees here. This is more of a gradual turn in the blade at the top, and so that makes this a Wharnicliffe blade. But I really enjoy this knife. I think it's a fantastic release, and I'm really happy I picked this one up. And again, I thought it was a little shorter than it was, so when I found out that it was the size that it is, I just felt like that's even more reason to get it. And that it also kind of falls into that, I said Goldilocks zone earlier for the pull strength, but also for the handle length. That 3 3/4 inch size for me is just about right. Why I like the sail belly so much. This also has sort of a swoop design like that. While not a sail belly, it does have some similar properties to it. Maybe just not as much width here at the back. So it makes it very, very comfortable to hold on to. But that's pretty much going to do it for my review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell to be made aware of videos when they drop. We will see you next time. Take care.